Just learned something really surprising about my mother. I always held a suspicion that my mother was different from the rest of us, but I never could put my finger on a reason. Rumors abounded throughout our extended family, but they were just whispers in dark corners. It was no real secret that she kept different hours than us, never shared in our meals, and didn't often partake in family outings. Since I grew up with these habits, they weren't strange to me. I loved my mom and generally wrote her behavior off as shyness or embarrassment at our habits. We can be a rowdy lot at mealtimes, full of crass jokes and poor table manners. My father was good with it, so I figured it was okay. As I grew older, I understood that some people were introverts and this label seemed to fit her like a glove. She was never comfortable at parties, though my father insisted on them. We had at least one family over every month when our countless aunts and uncles, grandparents, and great-grandparents weren't visiting. I come from a long line of social people, so I suppose my mother's behavior was odd when considered with the rest. It wasn't until one of our monthly dinner parties, a couple weeks ago, that it hit me. My father had invited the Johnsons, a family of 5 from the Lower East Side. The parental unit was typical for the area and the husband shared my father's sense of rude wit. The kids were pleasant enough, I suppose. We had little in common, but it wasn't of much concern. I have learned to get along with all types and can make small talk like a pro. The mother was obviously very affectionate and concerned for her children's well-being. She embraced them tightly and was very passionate in expressing her feelings about them. It was very hard for my siblings and I to get them away from her, as they practically clung to her side. Mother was present through the entire event at the insistence of my father. "You're part of this family, Clarissa, so you should participate," I had overheard him tell her through the kitchen door. She was practically in tears, but she came out and stood by the doorway, avoiding the glances of our guests. She must have been pretending she couldn't hear them because she didn't respond when they addressed her, loudly, on multiple occasions. "Call the police," they would say. "They can't have our children," they would claim. And of course, like all their predecessors, they inevitably called out, "Help! Somebody please help us." Then, for one split second, my mother glanced up and locked eyes with the other mother. I saw in her expression something it's taken weeks of research and discovery for me to comprehend, as I've had no experience with this in my life: pity and remorse. Then, unable to handle the carnage 1 second longer, she disappeared back into the kitchen. How had I not noticed she was human?